Hello everyone, I'm here with the May 2022 psychic prediction video. So for May, when I tuned into this month coming up here soon, what I got was a mossy emerald green type of vibration. And it was a little bit somewhat of a darkish green, and there's a little bit of this heaviness element to it, but it also had this natural rejuvenating quality to it as well. So it's not all hardship, it's also very refreshing as well. I also got a wood element here, but it was as if the wood element was growing out of the earth element. And so it was kind of like both, but more of an emphasis on the element of wood. And if you want to understand what that is about, you can look that up in Chinese medicine. TCM may have a better description of that than I can provide right now. Also, for this month, there's a connection to dirt. And I mean that in two ways. I mean that literally, and I mean that as in like the dirt of the situation. Like you're connecting with the earth more, but at the same time, kind of digging through the dirt, so to speak. It's a kind of duo meaning right there. So when I tune into Ukraine, what I get was I immediately saw this red energy, and I got the sense of forging on the behalf of the Ukrainian military and government. I did get a sense that halfway through the month or so of May, I saw this vision of a stadium with people on it, and it's like one of the poles kind of breaks or snaps, and the part of a section of the stadium kind of drops down for a second. It doesn't quite completely collapse, but it definitely, you could call it collapsing, but it's like it's still holding up, and the show goes on, but it looks like a destabilizing effect going on. I was getting the sense halfway through May there may be some situation like this happening to the Ukrainian military. I do get that Zelensky will be in good health and unscathed from this situation, at least for the month of May. But I also get that there could be a loss of troops, a loss of resources, and a lack of support available for the Ukrainian government. And since starting this whole thing, I'm getting the sense that they're kind of operating at about 50% capacity from where they were. So they're definitely going into a defense mode, is what I'm picking up, moving into May here. Although I do see victories being reported in the news. But the thing that's not really being reported as much is that it is actually a difficult situation going on. So despite the victories being reported on the news, I get that there could be situations where the Ukrainian military are outnumbered and they're needing more help from external sources like other countries, etc. However, I get the sense that Ukraine is able to maintain their defensive positions for a pretty long term, and I don't see that going away anytime soon. So when I tune into Russia, what I immediately picked up on was this intellectual green vibration. And I know green is usually not associated with intellect, but that's just the sense I was getting. And sometimes, people like to say a color represents one thing, but I don't really see it as that simple. Sometimes different colors can have a different vibration to that color. So it was an intellectual green vibration for Russia for the month of May. I was getting that they're making deals with other countries, and this is for their own future benefit, and they're thinking ahead here. They're not even really focused on the present moment as much as like the long term goal. Now I saw a vision, symbolic that is, of a machine that kind of represents the military effort coming from Russia. And this machine was like scooping up dirt and flinging it, representing the war and people, the dirt kind of being people. But the machine was partially breaking, and it it wasn't completely breaking, but it was kind of giving the appearance that it was breaking. But I was getting the sense that it was going to continue to run for like another 2 years. Um, but it does kind of seem like it's falling apart. However, this is more of an illusion than a truth. So I wouldn't believe that if you hear that on the news that the Russian military is falling apart, because I don't see that happening, at least definitely not for May, and I don't see that happening for 2 years. I do see the war continuing to take lives in waves, like a pattern of waves that sweep through. Towards the end of the month, I see a big wave happening that kind of brings the intensity level down one notch from where it already is. And I kind of see that it's already gone down a notch previously, and now it's going down another notch. And it has about 4 more notches to come down before, like, peace. But it's gonna take a while. So I'm not saying that this war is going to stop next month, but I do get a sense that it's slowing down. So I know I've said this before, and people have misunderstood what I was saying, thinking I was saying that the war was going to stop. So I just want to clarify that. But I never meant that the war was going to stop, just that it was going to kind of slow down and come to a simmer rather than a boil. When I tune into Russia, I get that their military strategy is consistency, and so they're in it for the long haul. So it's not about quick battles here. There's no serious increases in intensity coming from Russia that I'm seeing, for the most part. I don't see there being nukes being used or anything like that. I know I've said this in the past, but people have asked me to clarify again, and I'm still seeing I don't see them using nukes still. Their strategy is to wear out Ukraine over time, and they're not going for the heavy hitters necessarily. I do get the sense that this will take a heavy toll on Russia, and they will suffer from it. So Putin is unhappy with the damage to Russia, and I also got that he was unhappy with the damage to the surrounding area of Russia too. So I get the sense that he doesn't want the surrounding area to be destabilized, which logically makes sense to me because that kind of invites terrorist activities, etc., etc. Although that's just me thinking out loud. So back to the reading. When I tuned in to the long term, I saw that Putin was happy, or will be happy, with the goal that is partially achieved. And I've said this before, that I see Russia sort of winning, but not necessarily winning, because I don't really see anyone winning exactly. But I've said before from the very beginning that I see Russia gaining land and it reshaping the borders I definitely don't see Russia losing, and I still don't see Russia losing as well. Just want to clarify because people have brought that up in the comments. Um, and Russia, I don't see that Russia or Putin really wanted to take over the entire country. And I've said this before, but I just want to clarify that I don't see that really being the goal. But it's more so that he wanted just certain areas of Ukraine and also to kind of take away the Ukrainian military's power, but not necessarily to take over the whole country. I do think that there's more than meets the eye to the situation, and I have a separate video that I've made with a client of mine um, who is asking some questions that I have yet to edit and post. But I do plan on posting that video after this video sometime soon, where I will be talking more about Russia and Ukraine and kind of the intentions behind it and the controversial aspects of it that I don't really want to get into here. So be sure to stay tuned to see that video if you're interested in that. So for the month of May, for the United States, when I tuned into the United States, I saw a blue vibration color with some green energy around the northwest of the country. When I tune into Biden, I see Joe Biden having some issues and being a little backed up with paperwork and a little confused and not really on top of things. But the citizens of the United States, I see being very strong, and I definitely get this green energy vibration from the citizens of the United States, kind of in tune with the springtime energy. And there being these strong grassroots movements and a lot of energy towards the community and towards building communities seems to be really stimulated for the month of May. So when I tuned into South America, there's like this black energy to it. And I just got that there could be a lot of financial suffering going on in South America for May. This could be related to the sanctions, I'm not sure, but that's what I was getting. Europe, when I tuned into Europe, I saw this yellow color, and I also kind of got this dirty vibe to it. And what I was getting from that was politicians panicking in Europe because they're preparing for the coming economic situation for the next coming months, for like the next 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 months. But in the next 2 months, it looks like there's going to be a pretty bad economic outlook coming to Europe. So just if you live in Europe, maybe, pay attention to your finances. I don't know, maybe consider alternatives, maybe Bitcoin. I don't know. I'm not telling you what to do. China, when I tune into China, I see a black energy taking over China with this blue. Actually, it's been over China for like the last 2 months. I just haven't mentioned it in my videos, but yeah. But there's this blue energy at the north of China, and there's economic issues going on, starvation. However, the country of China, the government of China, I should say, can't really afford political actions, is what I'm getting in May. And that this is going to kind of last for a while because they're just kind of down in a rut economically. So it might take them a while to really have their political presence back in the global domain of the world. But I do get the sense that by the end of 2022, they will be back on their feet and running. whether that be good or bad. I'm not here to judge. I'm just reporting what I see. Pakistan, due to some requests about Pakistan, I figured I'd include it here. When I tuned into Pakistan for the month of May, I see it as a yellow color, and I was getting that there's a lot of ideologies being pushed, and these are very intellectual concepts that have to do with evolving the culture. Um, and this is really kind of like a movement that's ramping up this coming month in May. Um, I see that this kind of already is in the works, but it's really ramping up in May. And it's going to kind of influence things in a positive way for the next 3 years. I see this positive influence coming through public figures. Um, so these public figures are going to be important in Pakistan. Um, Not necessarily outside of Pakistan, but maybe to the people and the communities and the individuals on an individual level with their intellect and cultural evolution. So there will be intellectual battles, of course, that come along with any sort of revolution or evolution. I see this being a evolutionary process of the culture. And I do see this making Pakistan more content to kind of keep to themselves politically, that is. So I see the country of Pakistan being less involved with the global politics, and this kind of keeping them out of drama, and this being a very positive thing moving forward for them, because it seems people are more focused on like philosophy and things of that nature, that are less involved with the external politics. So this month, just as for kind of everywhere on Earth, was getting, there's a lot of energy about realism and people, being real and realistic, kind of coming back down to earth, that being a theme for this month. But also with a sense of sensual and spiritual energies infused to that. So it's not just like hard facts. There's the sensual energy that is also spiritual in nature. I get the sense that this is breathing fresh life into what used to be kind of up in the clouds. You could call it La La Land. And so this is kind of bringing people back down and breathing fresh life into that space. So it's a month of going back to nature to find true sensuality through that process. I get that the illusions are falling away in May. It's a good month for kind of seeing behind the curtain, going back to reality, beyond the theater. So when I tuned into May coming up here, I also got a secondary color. I started seeing yellow. And so there's also this yellow vibration coming through, which is the vibration of enlightenment. It's like a enlightening, kind of stimulating, like waking you up type of energy. And I'm not saying that all yellow represents that. I'm just saying this distinct vibration that I'm seeing as yellow is that. And so this is bringing in a sudden understanding or sudden understandings that drop all your previously held beliefs. So all those things that you think you know, you might come to terms with the possibility that it might not be so cut and dry. So last month, I was talking about the vibration um, going way higher and like bringing everybody to a elevated vibration, and I definitely experienced that. Um, well, it's still April, but this month, last month, whenever you're watching this video, April was about that. However, May is going to be about settling into this new consciousness more. So sometimes it goes up continuously, and sometimes it goes like a jolt up and then kind of just stays there. And it's kind of like it went up a big jolt, and now it's kind of just letting us settle into this consciousness. I talked last month about how this energy was causing earth changes, and how that could affect things. I mentioned volcanoes and things of that nature, but also we experienced some pretty weird weather lately. It was like a historical snow in Portland, Oregon, where I live. It's never snowed as late in this year in all of recorded history. So that was interesting. And I mentioned how this is not like due to human manipulation, not done by people. Um, and so what I found out recently, which was very interesting to me, is that they've been finding that Neptune, the planet Neptune, is heating up at a strange rate that has been alarming scientists and confusing scientists, and people are not really able to explain what's going on with Neptune. And this correlates with what I was thinking was going on, which is there's just a massive change in energy going on, and the Earth and other planets are adapting to this. So, what's good for this month coming up here, May? What's good for May, or maybe what's good for you in the month of May, is being in nature. Also, sensual touch was coming up. Daydreaming, letting go of external lies, coming back to nature, not just being in nature, but kind of coming back to the simple things, you could say, as well as self-empowerment. And I would say self-empowerment through all of these things that I've listed already, because those things will be self-empowering within the month of May. So the month of May is bad for holding on to ideas. I do see that there will be some people, kind of like a sliver of people out of a chart, not like a majority, but a minority, but still a big chunk of people who will be very bitter, holding on to ideas, not wanting things to go, and not necessarily bitter, but possibly just having a crisis, and being stuck in that sort of energy because of not wanting to integrate, not wanting to allow this new frequency to kind of settle into their consciousness, because there's a lot of change going on, massive change. Now, I've had a good amount of people I know die recently as well, and it seems to be that that is a common trend going on in the world, partially due to all of these changes going on, and I don't see this stopping anytime soon. So this month is also bad for staying in the dark, and I mean that like staying like too much to yourself, as well as hiding hiding from the outside world. It's also bad for living too much in your own head and not being able to get out of your head. And that also would include stubborn intellect. So those are all things to watch out for this coming month. My advice would be get out more, lay on the earth, and forget everything you've ever been told. That may just be an awesome experience to give yourself for this next month coming up here. Remember to let go so that you can make room for new insights, because there will be new insights coming to you. You just have to make room for them in your life and in your energy. Enjoy the simplicity, because next month may not be so simple, and it may be a little complex and crazy, and you may be finding things out that don't necessarily make sense or add up in your mind. And you may be having to reorganize, reanalyze very complex understandings. So if you like this video, I appreciate a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out my upcoming video where I will be talking about Bitcoin, as well as Ukraine and some of the more interesting, controversial, speculative aspects of what I see coming within all of that. So thank you for watching, and have a great day.